I said, I hardly question it. Look around. This is it. All the machines and merchandise for our convenience, social advancements, were surrounded by miracles barely imagined by our ancestors. Science fiction. We're surrounded by miracles barely imagined by our ancestors' science fiction. Utilities improve, but we've arrived. And so, I don't know about y'all, but I'm proud to live in this era that doesn't yet realize there's nothing left to do except clean up the crap. Pam, however, wasn't easily amused or prone to tethering debate by obligating her whole face and being to unrelinquishable positions. Her concession was, cuteness will bite you in the ass someday, but jealous of what? One smart-ass Greenway out of office? While there, my memory of the party fades in awe of Dostoevsky. Because before realizing what he meant by what he wrote, I always felt people were against any theory I might have. But sharing this one of Fyodor's and thought preposterous convinced me Utopia's yardstick is hardship undertaken in the cradle of luxury. Seems I was a fool, though, revering cyclist sacrifice as gospel, setting myself up as overly anxious and proud to give Dr. Armand Hammer a healthy dose of a commoner's point of view, from one of toughing it out alone's other breeds. Because when it comes to thriving for publicity, there's an American tradition that, even unprovoked, we the people can be very derisive of celebrity. I wasn't a fellow partisan needing waved through by the bourgeoisie. And thanks to the clear dregs contact high, I felt giddy and full of myself like a cat waking to the night, wanting my nose in everything. But I'm from warmer winters, Paradise, Florida, whereas Dr. Hammer was born on Manhattan's Lower East Side in 1898, when the tenements were the tenements and capitalism was from the very bottom up, from the very bottom. The Hammers were an American triumph, migrating north with the city, eventually landing with everyone else successful in the Bronx, launching Armand here, there, and everywhere. If I assaulted his financial titan's ruthlessness, his heritage as an offspring of 19th century believers in socialist change exempted him, as his book claims. Sounds about right. The reverse carpetbagger struggling off crumbs from the street, checkmated before I've moved. Except by coming to visit, Hammer was sacrificing his comfortably remote back seat, where lawyers usually preclude facing the moral price of regret. I welcomed this visit, feeling the bicycle's entitlement to the same space every mobile throne feels entitled to charge through. Road encroachment is just stealing in the aristocratic tradition. Finance hedges out less finance. Why wouldn't Hammer's vehicle intimidate someone smaller? Forget car lengths, his bumper was at my wheel, and for what other reason than arrogance was Hammer's limousine so close? How the hell was I catching a fender manufacturers stopped making and flying into any freaking car? But I'd been aggravated already, and over is over, so I didn't care how sorry he was. He paid the bill. I was old enough to be tired of substituting rage for the effort to understand. Greeting from the door, his advanced age softened my attitude, seeing his large plastic frames I associated with an older generation's glasses I grew up respecting. Though both my father and I now wear wire rims, I sympathized with his face's habitual use skull indentations I later noticed was more severe on the right side of his face. I thought about my father's uncommon 90-year-old energy and how he mowed our lawn at Hammer's age. Common ground with the fragile worker awarded the privilege of being among a multi-millionaire. I thought about my father and I in the front yard with our lawnmower with the electric cord, how he'd advocated to the 7-year-old that electricity without the inconvenient cord could have polluted less. He led me into conversation to think up the idea of batteries myself. I said, aren't they like lightning in a box? And my father actually mentioned the Stanley steamer and how in the beginning cars could have gone either way. I remember his look of wonder, how much a child can understand, having only a year or so earlier earned my first penny. Finally, my euphoric stupor engaged with Dr. Hammer's small talk, and I heard the end of his asking if I'd been a messenger long. My side concession too long? It's not a good career, reeked of weakness. So with really little said between us, I sensed he'd taken my status into account. Looking successfully down his lifted nose, labeling me foolishness to be gotten out of the way. Seriously, he sniffed at his watch and said, "At least you know," and asked if I minded if he used the phone. My temperament answered, "Sure, call the car." But that wasn't enough for me. I added, "You're comfortable attached to the phone, aren't you? And I haven't spent a dime of your money on it all day," popped out. Believe it, my humor didn't crack his reality. His shaken head gave notice there'd be no more thinking than necessary about careerless schmucks. He was where I wanted him. Finally, my first opportunity to confront a financial titan, it made sense to limber him up. I said to his dissatisfied face, "I follow, Dr. Hammer. As long as you're here, set a busy example. Maybe if I were busier like you, neither of us would be here. My single opportunity doesn't fulfill your definition of a career." Smug, satisfied my jargon finished me off, Hammer said, "Right, young man," and lost track of his watch.